welcome back to the channel. Today we're following up on the Staccato P4. In the first video, we covered the basics, but now it's time to dive deeper, talking about the firing pin block, the new flat wire recoil system, the grip texture, and the key changes that set it apart from the Staccato's other models. I'll also share my experience testing different Glock mags and go over the assembly and disassembly. Stick around because this is where we get into the real details. But before we get too deep though, I want you to hit that subscribe button right now. It costs you nothing but helps the channel grow. Thanks to my member subscribers, you keep the channel afloat, and a big shout out to Scottsdale Tactical for their continued support of the channel. And the place where I happened to pick this pistol up with my own funds, of course. Now, the P4 introduces a firing pin block, something Staccato hasn't included in their pistols in quite some time, I don't think. If you're unfamiliar, this safety mechanism prevents the firing pin from moving unless the trigger is fully pressed. This is a big deal for duty use, making the P4 a more attractive option for agencies or individuals concerned about drop safety. Some shooters feel that the firing pin blocks can make the trigger feel mushy. And while I did notice a bit more take-up, I didn't find it to be a deal breaker. It's not as light as my XC, but it's also not meant to be. This is a duty/carry focused gun, and a heavier pull weight makes sense in that context. It's not a feature that I personally needed, but I can see why Staccato is moving in this direction, likely to compete in that broader law enforcement military market. Another change is the new flat wire recoil spring system, replacing the traditional round wire spring. This is supposed to improve durability, cycling reliability, and longevity. It's also supposed to reduce felt recoil. That said, the P4 already shoots incredibly flat, but here's the thing. Your hand takes a beating from the beaver tail. So while it may be reducing recoil slightly, I'm not sure it's enough to be a game changer. One thing I did notice, racking the slide feels different. It's smoother and more controlled, with some added resistance up front compared to older Staccatos. The P4's grip texture is more aggressive than the standard Staccato P or C, and I absolutely love it. It actually reminds me of the Stealth Arms Platypus prickly grip, but with a finer texture. A small but excellent addition is the index ledges that you find on either side of the pistol. Staccato also removed the grip safety, another first for them. If you've used a 2011 platform before, this might take some getting used to. Personally, I think it was a smart move. A lot of shooters, including myself, tape or pin their grip safeties anyway, so this simplifies the design and removes a potential failure point when you fail to engage those. That said, this might be why the P4 feels a little rougher on the hand. No grip safety to absorb any recoil. Now, one of the biggest talking points, of course, the P4 takes the Glock pattern mags. I tested a variety of Glock mags, and here's what I found. I placed 3 rounds of MagTech 115 grain ball ammunition through each one of my test magazines. I inserted the mag and then charged the P4 to test the ability of each magazine to load from the closed bolt position. Each magazine functioned without error and locked the slide to the rear after each iteration. None of the magazines seemed to stick in the pistol frame, and that was something I had seen before in other pistols that accept Glock mags. After recording this session, I used the magazines interchangeably with no issues. Each magazine fit snug into the magazine well, but they all, to include the Metgar supplied magazine, had a little bit of forward and back play in the magazine well. But surprisingly, the PMag magazine fit like a glove, with no play whatsoever, and it dropped free with ease when emptied. what I found. The OEM Glock mags, the KCI, and the Magpul Glock mags all worked fine. Now, conversely, the Metgar mags didn't always work in other Glock compatible pistols. So if you're thinking of stocking up, stick with the OEM mags for now, because I don't know that they work super great in those other pistols yet. I previously mentioned as well a plate was included in the package, but that was incorrect.
This Host Optic mounting system, which allows you to put a Delta Point Pro or an RMR directly mounted onto there. You can still obviously mount every other optic, you'll just need a plate for those.
And the rear sight, you can direct mount certain optics, but they leave a gap and you put a strain on the mounting screws. And let's be real, those screws aren't the most trustworthy. So I'd recommend getting the optic plates that come separately. I'm not a fan of that either, since I hate when you can't mount a red dot right out of the box. But technically you can, it's just at your own risk. Now, some of the key differences in the P4, like I mentioned, no grip safety, that flat wire recoil system, more aggressive grip texture, controls are set back for easy manipulation, Glock mags instead of the proprietary Staccato mags, that's the big one. The rear sight is positioned forward of the optic, making it easier to co-witness. The smaller size, it's more duty/carry focused, maybe not so much competition driven. And one detail I haven't seen many people talk about is there is some fluting on the bottom of the barrel. You can probably hardly see, I'll put in the B-roll there. But I assume it's for weight reduction, maybe to help balance the pistol and lower reciprocating mass, maybe heat dissipation. If you know the exact reasoning, let me know in the comments below. If you've taken apart a Staccato before, the P4's breakdown will feel familiar, but there are some differences. The slide stop is similar to other Staccatos, but the ambidextrous lever makes it a bit tricky. The normal half moon notch as well is gone on this side. So when you remove that slide stop, it's done from the locked back position. So all the way back here, and that's how you remove it with the slide stop. It's a bit finicky, but nothing crazy. I'll be doing a short separate video on the assembly, disassembly, so you don't roast me too hard on my first try. Now, final thoughts. Is it worth it? After spending more time with the P4, here's my take. I love the grip texture. The finger ledges are excellent for control. The firing pin block and grip safety delete make it feel like a modernized 2011. The Glock mag compatibility is huge, but I'm curious to see how well it holds up long term. The flat wire recoil system is subtle but effective. Not sure if you love the price point though. Staccato has been the standard for a while and garnered a reputation in the 1911 DS world. So that comes with a price, and whether you want to pay that or not, it's really going to be up to you. Would I recommend it? Maybe. I'm going to pit it up against the other obvious contenders in the field, like the Platypus and the XP Pro, which both accept Glock magazines, and see how they fare against it. In any case, you'll want to decide if these changes are worth upgrading for your needs. If you need a duty-focused 2011 that takes Glock mags, this might be the best option out there. We'll see. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out. And as always, I'll see you on the high ground or in the next video. Razor and P out.